Drones have certainly started life as toys, but with their sophistication, it has been becoming apparent they can also be used for nefarious purposes, whether it's warfare, so organizations like ISIS weaponizing drones or performing battlefield surveillance, or people dropping contraband into prisons or creating havoc, as we've seen in Gatwick and Newark and other airports recently. So with that gave rise to the counter-drone industry that Drone Shield is the leading player today.
The Civil Aviation Safety Authority says they will be rolling out drone tracking technology over the next few months. Do you think this is an adequate step to limit drones in restricted airspaces?
We think it's an important step to understand what are existing capabilities, and it is our hope that CASA are trying different technologies to assess what would make most sense for deployment at airports. Both detection and mitigation would be crucial. And I think it's also important not only to do this to understand whether we indeed have an issue, because it's clear that the issue is there, but have it as a first step towards actually permanently deploying such systems at airports through major cities in Australia.
In a busy area like Sydney Airport, what would be the best technique to incapacitate a drone which might be flying over a restricted airspace?
Well, the first step, Kevin, is always detection. So you need to know in a timely manner that the drone is there. You need to know where it is. And that in turn gives you ability to deploy a range of countermeasures. So technologies available today allow you to identify where the pilot is. And of course, you can apprehend the pilot. Also, technologies like ours allow you to neutralize the drone through effectively disrupting the connection between the drone and the controller in a safe way that doesn't impact other technologies around airports, such as control tower or aircraft itself.
What is the differences between anti-drone technology in Australia and in other locations like the UK, where, as you mentioned, they've been affected by drones interrupting air traffic in several of the airports?
Drone Shield is an Australian headquartered company, but we run business globally, and that includes UK as well. So it's similar kind of technologies in a sense that best practice remains the same, whether it's in the UK or in Australia. Radio frequency and passive radio frequency, such as what we offer that doesn't interfere with other radio frequency devices at airports, is what we would recommend. And I think it's certainly the future in terms of best tech to deploy at airports.
Do current laws help or hinder this new anti-drone technology?
This is a good example where the technology has been evolving faster than the legislation. And you can see this very clearly in the US, where counter-drone technologies come across both FAA and FCC regulations, where, in a nutshell, a drone is treated largely the same way as a full-size aircraft, which, of course, is impractical on many levels. And also, when you deploy countermeasures against it, they often come against legislation which has been originally created for something entirely different in mind. So there's an urgent need to change legislation. We're seeing this in the US with the FAA reauthorization bill having been passed in November last year, which is an important step. And we're certainly hopeful that in Australia there will be law changes that enable law enforcers, police, first responders, and others to be able to lawfully detect and defeat drones used for nefarious purposes.
You've mentioned earlier that the police and other authorities would be able to have the ability to use this anti-drone technology, but is this something that would also be available to the general public? For example, if drones keep harassing them at home or harassing their pets in their backyard, is this something that people would be able to just buy off the shelf?
I think there are a number of steps that can be considered here. A number of different technologies exist, of course, and the idea would be that certain technologies, especially around passive detection, would logically be made available to general public. Some other technologies which are more restricted, mostly involving defeat of the drones, would perhaps make more sense to stay in hands of law enforcement and the military due to other capabilities that they have.
That was Oleg Vornik, CEO of Drone Shield, ending that report. An Air Services Australia spokesperson has released a statement to On the Money stating that
Air Services air traffic controllers manage drone sightings similar to any other unforeseen hazard, including laser attacks and bushfires. There are several procedures in place to manage traffic during these circumstances to ensure the safety of aircraft.